If I have this all set up correctly, it should. There we go, straight onto YouTube Live. Right. Fun time. It's time to discuss Git in September 2020. Yeah, what else is there to fucking discuss apart from the fact it's crap? I can't even play the game, so I'm just gonna have random gameplay from the playlist playing in the background, since that's the best I can do. I'm just gonna post my link everywhere, and then we can get on with this. I actually need to grab stream link, which I can grab from here. Feel free to share this. I would love to get everyone together. I am in a voice chat in the Battlefront 3 Legacy server, should you want to discuss Git there. The reason I'm doing this as a live stream is just so I can pick I was going to make a structured video on it, but then I thought if I do that I'm going to miss some points. It's just easier if I just do a whole live stream about it, because it's going to work better if I take all the points I make in this live stream or discuss with people on this live stream, compile it into a dedicated video. I feel like it will work quite well. I'm just currently going server to server, posting stream link. Again, if you want to join, I am in the Battlefront 3 Legacy voice chat. In which case we can obviously discuss this crap. Yeah, it's not even worth self-advertising there. Where's... Okay, that'll do. Currently I have one viewer. That's disappointment. Git good. Git. Yeah. Git is bad. Git is terrible. Anyway, let's get the crappy gameplay, which is from my Git playlist in the background. Obviously this is all going to be incredibly low quality crap. I'm not going to play the audio because it's just Discord chatter basically. It's not really worth playing. Adjust this so it sort of fits the screen better. What is there left to discuss about on Git? Well, quite a few things, since obviously they've been very busy the last few months, haven't they, fixing their game. I can't actually stream new gameplay because the game does not work at the moment, if you haven't heard. So basically, for those of you who don't know, Galaxy in Turmoil, or Git, is a game developed by indie studio Frontwire Studios, starting in 2016, and was supposedly supposed to be a spiritual successor to the classic Star Wars Battlefront series by Pandemic, and mainly the cancelled Star Wars Battlefront 3 by Free Radical. It released earlier this year in early access to overwhelmingly mixed reviews, most of which being negative from people that weren't on the Discord server. They had to boost their own reviews up in order to stop it from getting negative. But yeah, it's been a dumpster fire, considering it's had 4 years to bake and it's sort of come out as crummy as you can get. I am reading chat, so feel free to chat. I am in a voice chat as well if you want to discuss the game in the voice chat. But I don't really know where to start with Git, because there is a lot to discuss with Git. Why it failed, how it failed, who made the project fail, where the responsibility lies, what's the future for this crummy game. There's a lot of topics to cover, and I don't really know where to start. The fun thing is that my criticisms do stand because I do know quite a bit about game design. I do know my shit. I am an aspiring level designer. Obviously, I have actually given some constructive feedback to Git, which they haven't used as far as I'm aware. Obviously, I can't tell. We can't play the game right now. We've been waiting for an update since May. You can't criticise me of not bothering with this project because obviously, as an aspiring level designer, I have actually applied to work for Frontwire on Galaxy and Turmoil. I had someone with a good background in the industry. He's been a QA tester for several studios, worked on a few games. Big titles that people actually do know. He vouched for me right after posting his portfolio on the Discord server, in which Tony Romanelli himself responded with Lamau. Obviously, I was insulted by the fact that my developer application was responded with just Lamau. So I've sort of zoned out of following this project, and then I've come back and found out that they've done absolutely nothing like I said they would back when the game released. So I want to hear what everyone else's opinions are on Git before I go into mine. So if you want to post them in the YouTube chat, I'll be happy to respond to your reviews of the game. What you're seeing is pretty much is just a playlist I have from when I used to play the game, which was back in testing. This is probably the most populated the game has ever been, was during testing, because once the game went live, people quickly bailed on it. No, Git is very much a huge disappointment for me. I've been following the project since its infancy back in 2016. I was aware of its original creators' Unity project back on Reddit when the R70217 build of Battlefront 3 dropped. And yeah, my expectations weren't extremely high. They were still high. When I obviously got to play it, it had 3 years to develop, and in those 3 years, a single guy developed pretty much the same thing. Obviously, not as polished, still the same level of playability and that's a good opinion, Gonk Droid. To be honest, Git as a foundation isn't anything wrong with it. It's just disappointing about how many people worked on this project, how long it had been worked on, and it just feels ridiculously generic. You can have generic games, but it just looks, plays, feels, and is just incredibly generic. It feels like a generic first-person shooter pack from Unreal Engine 4's Marketplace. Which it probably is, to be honest. We have found a lot more UE4 Marketplace items in the game's files than they claimed, because they said it was just a few crates on the map that you're seeing gameplay of. No, there was a lot of UE4 Marketplace items. In fact, there was more UE4 Marketplace folders than there were actual folders for the Git game itself. It is not an amazing game. It's very much a colossal disappointment. It's just discussing Star Wars on the Legacy Discord server, and I just see Last Jedi, and yeah, it's the lack of direction with that game. But no, Git has a lot of problems, and it starts at the top, obviously. The manager of Frontwire, Tony Romanelli, is no more than a lazy fat pig who just wants this for publicity, since obviously he is the public face of Frontwire, and as far as I'm aware, he does not take an active role in the development of the Frontwire game. If you wonder what you're actually seeing in the background, this is actually the recording for the trailer that they showed with the Kickstarter announcement. This is the recording of the trailer. Um, yeah, I was in it, believe it or not. Um, I couldn't find myself in it, but yeah, this in the background, what you're seeing right now is the recording of the. If you're wondering why things are happening so weirdly, yeah, that's because that's what's happening, which is being directed by Tony, I think. I mean, yeah, fair enough. Battlefront 3 meant a lot of people because it was Star Wars and it was cancelled, but it was also like the idea of the game. It was meant to be this massive, overly ambitious space to ground multiplayer game. It was a massive sandbox. Um, Obviously, Star Wars was just the cherry on top, but you can't even justify it saying they were trying to copy the gameplay of Battlefront 3 because it plays nothing like Battlefront 3. It plays more like a third-person Unreal Engine shooter. Like fucking... you could just see it in the background. It's basically just the 3D first-person template with sprinting and guns. It's just... It doesn't play like Battlefront. Not even the new Battlefronts. It's just... It's not replicating anything that they said they would. Space to ground's been added to this as nothing more than an uneventful gimmick. In the one game mode that has it, Invasion, it's basically a spawn room. You just spawn in a massive space station, fly down to the surface, and that's it. You're done. You don't go back. You only go back up to space at the end, and that's just to do some crummy objective that I can't even fucking remember. There was no big space battle in the sky. It's embarrassing because in the time it's taken to develop this, you had a certain dipshit in Unreal Engine 4 who made basically a functional version, slightly less functional version of this game, but it was still relatively at the same stage. And you had the Galactic Civil War, which is basically developed in less than a year and got to the stage that Git is now, if not further. And that had epic big space battles, and it at least had a conquest mode. Git didn't even give us a conquest mode, and I think that was the biggest disappointment. My expectations were relatively low. I expected Git to be shit. I did have this sort of grudge towards Frontwire. I do have a history of Frontwire. For those of you who don't know, I was in 2016 one of their community team members for a short while before they demoted me for absolutely no reason other than I don't even know the reason in the end. They've sort of given me mixed reasons. Apparently it's because I was annoying, even though... apparently it's because I was inactive, so how could I be inactive and annoying? Apparently it's because I never did anything, which I did do stuff. I was actually the most active administrator of the forums, the new forums, not Omar's old forums. But, no, Git is a mess. Yeah. The fact that Legacy, in its still incomplete, imperfect state, is better than an Unreal Engine 4 game developed by a quite large team of people. Obviously, people came and go. There were some pretty big names, and there's that one EA Front 2 fan animator, Locha Films. He's on a dev. He's credited as a developer for fucking Galaxy and Turmoil. I don't see it though with these generic animations that's used by every Unreal Engine 4 project. I don't see Locha Films animations anywhere. It's just stupid. Now, I have actually talked to Frontwire about this back when the game released. I did have a massive row with them over what exactly went wrong. I accused them of basically not having a direction for the game because it just seems to be a big mess. They responded by saying that there was documentation. They sent me this massive GIF of just a ridiculous amount of professional amount of documentation. But of course I couldn't read anything, but I doubt they followed it. They obviously have an entire gallery of concept art which looked pretty cool actually. As generic as it was, it looked relatively cool and to be honest was way too ambitious. Um, the project director, or the guy who's credited as the director, who I just want to point out is not one of the main developers. He's just apparently a random guy that Tony's put as director, because to be honest, it's just a friend group basically running Frontwire. None of them really do anything, but basically rely on 2 developers to develop the whole game, which seem to have abandoned because apparently there's been some internal problems. I've not seen any updates to the devlog recently, so I think that the remaining developers have actually bailed because of how much of a flop this was. No, yeah, I accused Tony of not having a decent direction of the project. Sent me crap tons of, documentation. He had it. He has everything. It looked like it should have worked. It didn't. The guy credited as director says he doesn't like multiplayer games. He only likes single-player games. He's directing a multiplayer game, though. And I feel like that's one of the big problems that Galaxy and Turmoil had faced, was the fact that they did focus on single player a lot. I have an early draft of the first level of the game from God knows when. It must have been a few years ago. I got a copy of it. It's meant to be like a 20-minute mission. It took about 2 hours to read the script. The writer for the game is supposedly a video game journalist, and that was like a big thing, like, oh yes, our writers are journalists. It doesn't matter. Any retard with a keyboard can be a fucking internet journalist. Journalism is not credit that you should use for writing. And it became incredibly apparent with this script. This was not the first draft. This was supposedly been revised several times. Still filled with grammar mistakes, basic English mistakes, spelling mistakes on simple words. And not just that, just the story was cringeworthy. It was filled with fart jokes, immature humour. There were a lot of fart jokes, as in half the script was fart jokes. And it was just... And the writer had taken it upon himself to do some gameplay direction while he was at it, which is not their place. The script is for dialogue and story outline, not gameplay outline. In fact, most of what you see in the game now, apart from the map amalgam, is basically reused from single player anyway. The map that you're seeing in the background, the battles, is actually the first mission of the campaign. Yeah, that's how good they are at their game. They just decided to... They just don't know what they were doing, to be honest, and it shows. A lot of people defend this game saying it's a volunteer team. It's going to get better over the years. They just need funding. Funding won't make a difference. The fucking Galactic Civil War was a volunteer team of about 2 people. Luke Landwalker was a volunteer team of 1 guy for the most of it. Obviously, what you saw towards the end, 2019 and 2020, that was 2 people. Volunteer team still. And students, which is another thing that Tony blamed the problem of his game on, saying that it was the student developers who were doing part-time work and quitting the project entirely. They were the problem. No. Legacy was developed by 1 guy. 2 now, obviously. But it's still pretty much 1 guy because the other developers bailed. No, your volunteer team doesn't make a difference. If your volunteer team is passionate about this project, in 3 years it would be still obviously only having a few maps. I didn't expect them to have 10. I expected them to have about 1, 2, or even they have 4. They have 4 at the moment. Although obviously you can't play all 4. You can't play the game at all at the moment because they're idiots. No, their excuse for the volunteer devs, and that's like the big defense if you go on the YouTube review, not YouTube reviews, the Steam reviews. It's all people going, oh, this is not bad for a team of volunteer devs. In 4 years I've seen better. Obviously with some of the projects like Legacy, Luke Game and Galactic Civil War, they had assets already available for them to use. They were obviously using Star Wars IP. They didn't have to create their own concept, their own anything really. It was just a fan game. And to be honest, that makes me lower my expectations, if anything, if they're not putting their own creative influence on the game. Obviously, with Git, they had full creative control, and it's come out even worse than I expected. And I expected pretty bad. I expected it to be as broken as Galactic Civil War, but obviously a bit more graphically pleasing. But no, it's just an absolute crap hole. And the funny thing is, you can't even say it's because they spent years developing the art assets. Because I have, on this YouTube playlist, right at the end, we have footage from 2017, which shows all the amalgam art assets nearly in the same state that they are now. So they've basically sit in their asses for 4 years, essentially. It's genuinely shocking to me how little this project accomplished, and how it's just this messy. Fair enough. They couldn't base it on Battlefront 3, well they could have, because R70217 was still available. But the wiki wasn't built until a year, we didn't start building until a year later. The complete information wasn't there. We didn't know every detail about Battlefront 3. You could have taken some creative liberties in that, even got even more ambitious than Free Radical. But instead we get this half-baked, hollow game. It's generic beyond being generic, and the fact that they have excuses for everything, and it's really entertaining. I'm losing my track here because I'm just repeating myself, so I need to think of another point to make about Frontwire. That's just alright. I'll move on to the man himself, Tony Romanelli. Tony Romanelli did not found Frontwire Studio, or sorry, he didn't found the community and group that would become Frontwire Studios. There was a person who started an independent project to remake Battlefront 3 in the Unity engine known as Joseph. This very faggot decided to, obviously, by his own accord, develop it, and this is what you see in 2016 from the February and March builds of Star Wars Battlefront 3 Remake. It was just a basic Unity project developed by one guy, and it would build a little community. This community would form on their own forums after the Reddit thread for Battlefront 3 was closed. They moved on to the Com Industries forum owned by Clone Commander Omar, who was a very young child at the time. So that just shows you the professionalism of this community. They would obviously move on to Discord. There will be a decision to move on to Unreal Engine 4. And basically Joseph would then take a break for a few months. For about a month. He came back. Tony Romanelli had basically, taken over with his gang of other students. Tony has no developing background. He's not a developer. I don't think he's ever worked on a game. He just was woke up one morning oh yes, I want to work on a game today. So he obviously stole someone's project and team. Obviously over 2016, the first few months where it was a Star Wars game, it was all Unreal Engine 4 marketplace assets. We have actually gone over this, me and a group of people. We know exactly what assets they used. The game was absolutely non-functional. The furthest it got was pretty much what you saw in the demos, which was still just Battlefront 3 assets using Unreal Engine 4 animations and weapon packs, just with Battlefront 3 assets plastered over them. The only thing they made themselves was the AT-ATs, which obviously worked quite well. I think the X-Wings were also programmed themselves, which obviously is the most impressive part of the whole experience. Yeah. Tony is not a developer, so he had nothing to do with that. All he was doing is posting screenshots and being the face of Frontwire. Obviously, cease and desist happened, and they began making their own universe. Tony probably wrote some documentation, maybe did a few tweaks on Unreal Engine 4, but as far as I'm aware, he is not an active developer on the project, and he doesn't care. If you've been following Tony recently, you will know that he has actually diverted his attention from his failing independent game company to a music career making dubstep. Very, very generic and pretty poor dubstep under the name Status. I think Tony. I don't know what Tony thinks of me or Legacy. I don't think he pays attention to Legacy or even knows of its existence anymore. He probably doesn't even know I'm a developer for it. I think he thinks of me as a joke, an annoying pest who knows better than him, so he feels threatened whenever I come along. To be honest, if there is an internal struggle and a lot of the developers at Galaxy and Turmoil quit, all I can say to them is obviously just come to me. I can easily manage a project better than their fat-ass CEO. No, the Ravioli Man has obviously started a music career. And all I can say is the brony dubstep artists who shit out a music track on a daily basis are better than Tony Romanelli, who spends months making one to put on SoundCloud. It's just he's meant to be managing a failing independent game studio. He's not managing his project. He's not even developing for that project. He's just a public face, and they don't have the people or the skill, talent, or numbers required to develop this scale and ambition of this project when their CEO isn't even actively working on it. I'm pretty sure Tony just sits there waiting for the money to come in so he can obviously put it into his music career. Our last Stormtrooper lawyer. That's an interesting name. All in all, Git needs to step up. That's what I said to them when the game demo failed. I was like, this should be your huge wake-up call. You have no players. You have no funding. You've just shown to the world that you have no passion or care for your game. You have not put enough skill, talent, and time into this. It's come out half-baked. And what you do now is what matters. You can't, within the next few weeks after the release of the game, you need to show that something's happening. You're not going to be able to pull a No Man's Sky because you don't have the money to pull a No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky managed to update itself a year later because they had made that fuck ton of money from the failed release on PS4. Are you in this match? Were you in the match where we were... I'm pretty sure this is trailer footage. I'm pretty sure this is the one where we started fucking around by an asteroid, if I remember correctly. Actually, I want to deconstruct you there, Lich Lord of Flames. I have explained earlier that they did this with zero funding and as a proof of concept. But within the 4 years it's taken them to get this proof of concept of zero funding out, bearing in mind you are talking to a former member of their community team and developer applicant that they denied. They had 4 years to develop this. In that 4 years, we have had about 3 different independent projects doing exactly the same concept that in a much shorter time period surpassed this. I'm also a test bunny on Git. I'm also a former member of the community team. I also applied for the dev team when they needed it. Don't say like, oh yes, test. If I'm clearly a test bunny, where do you think I got this footage from? Oh, you think I just stole it? Nah. Frontwise zero funding is not an excuse. Galactic Civil War, an independent game developed by one guy, as pretty much a proof of concept fan game. Obviously, he didn't have to create all his assets, but that's no excuse for Git either, because they had their art assets done by April 2017, because there is old test bunny footage of the amalgam assets being completed in April 2017. You can point it out, but it's not a defense. Gonk, that, yeah. Imagine having Git team member on your resume. To be honest, I think that's actually probably why a lot of developers have bailed behind the scenes. There was a massive internal struggle over the last few months, which has just killed the game entirely. Which just shows the loyalty of the remaining team members they had. But no, Git. They do have zero. The zero funding is now going to become apparent because they can't take the game any further without it. This was not meant to be the proof of concept demo. This was turned into the proof of concept demo when they realised that this was a massive fuck up. This was developed seriously. They did do single player development as well for the campaign, because the Bowels map that they threw in with the early access was actually the first campaign mission. I've read the first mission campaign script. It's horrible. The potential for Git is undeniable. They had the right foundation to build what could have been the next big game. I wouldn't say it would be like, massive. It wouldn't have killed Fortnite or anything, but it still would have been a very successful and fun game. They fell short of that, and they fell short of a lot of my expectations. My expectations were low. To be honest, they met it on everything. The graphics met my expectations. How generic it was met my expectations. Yes. The interview, the leadership. You're obviously just joined, so I'm going to go over a lot of the points that I've already gone over. Tony is not a developer for the project. He does fuck all for the project. He is just the public face of Frontwire. How long am I working on Battlefront 3 Legacy? I'm working on it until it's done now, because Fab's just gone, and if I want this mod done, I have to do it myself. So I'm no longer leaving the Legacy project. Even though I want to work on Project Zero, I'm going to have to hold out and finish Legacy first, which is fine. I have the developers to do it and the time to spare. Right, anyway, back to it. Yeah, Tony's not a developer. He is just a public face. It's even shown now, especially because while Frontwire's up in flames, internal struggles, and get a game they need to fix, Tony's making music for a failing music career, which is all very generic, just like his taste. He was not the original developer of the project that started this either. Tony's just he's an actor, essentially. The game director, or the guy credited as the game director from the interview, the podcast that they did after the Kickstarter announcement, stated that he's not interested in multiplayer games. He's only interested... I know, Gonk, I am going to be extending the team. I will be giving you, Frogman, you and Frogman, both invitations to the dev team once the rework's underway. Because the Gonk mod's pretty cool. Not gonna lie. No, the game director doesn't like multiplayer games. He prefers single-player games. He's developing a multiplayer-centered title, though, which is obviously an immediate red flag. Oh, that's interesting. So, yeah, basically, because I made a point with this when the game launched. I had a massive row with an actual person with background in the industry. Like, I'm just a student, so I'm just still learning everything. But no, this guy actually has background at working at AAA studios. he came in with me, and we kind of had a bit of a row. We accused Frontwire of having a lack of direction, a lack of management, and a lack of leadership, essentially. Tony obviously came online, which he rarely does, and he argued the case that that's not the problem, even though it clearly was. And it's very interesting that now the community manager comes. Well, yeah, essentially the community manager. I've seen what's happening on the Frontwire Discord. It's basically a fucking desolate wasteland. Has come on and said, yeah, there's lack of leadership. I'm surprised that you're finding this live stream, because I've just looked on and no one's posted this on the Frontwire server as far as I'm aware. Doesn't seem. Ah, yes. Ryanad 2000 posted it on the Test Bunny server. The issue is you can't accuse me of saying I can't talk about GIFs or scripts, because I was sent the GIFs were sent on a public Discord server to, and the script I actually was made a video on that, and yeah. To be honest, I feel like I have said this many times. Git has the foundations to be a brilliant game, and it could have been a brilliant game. The lack of direction and management was clear. Even when I was part of the community team for Frontwire back in 2016, it was incredibly clear, because there were lack of instructions. Because the forums were a thing back then, and we were basically told to answer questions. With what? We weren't told anything, and it was all just a what if situation. Go on. I'll go on. I'll help you understand Legacy, because the rework's obviously going to be taking place, and we could really use some more developers. No, like I don't hate Git. How it's turned out, yeah, it's disappointing and did make me quite upset at this is what I waited 3.5 years for. But to be honest, it didn't shock me too much, because I was introduced to the Test Bunny program, which was the first time I played the game. I thought, okay, so this is obviously going to be quickly changing over the next few months, which to be fair it did. There were a lot of fixes put in place between the time that I was introduced to the Test Bunny program and the time the game went into early access. I feel like the November demo was rushed out, and I feel like that killed your chances immediately. Dead on reception, which is obviously, I'm pretty sure that was the thing that came out. Was it demo that came out with Kickstarter? Pretty sure it was a demo that came out with Kickstarter, and that was very much dead. It does. Like I said earlier, obviously you're all joining rather late, but the community team is active. They are most of them are brilliant at their jobs. There are some of them I do have my problems with, but the developer team have a lot of talent and skill. It's the execution of how they did it, because they had all the right things. It fell apart, the leadership. Ryan, stop trying to fucking snitch on me in the Test Bunny Discord. I have my eyes. No, Edu. They did add Shaman Gun, but according to Tony, it was apparently overpowered. I don't even think they added it. To be honest, over the years, Frontwire's probably had the right developers. But the thing is with developing an independent project, You, as the leaders of the project, need to give it your all. You need to be the glue that holds everything together. If you don't tell developers what to do, how to do things, if you don't uphold standards, your game will fail. Which is that's very, very interesting. But no, yeah, they didn't have leadership. They clearly were just left to do what they wanted. Yeah, Frontwire fell apart as well because of radio silence. If you're going to run if you're going to run a game like this for this long, because obviously this took years of developing, you need to keep the hype alive. If to be honest, I don't know what's happening internally at Frontwire at the moment because obviously everything's gone silent. Last time I heard, there was some sort of internal thing where everyone was giving up. Probably has happened. I reckon the project is not going to recover. I reckon if we even get this next update, that's been promised since like a week after the game came out. I reckon that's it. Tony seems to not have any fucking care for this project at all. He seems to be he's too involved with his music career. Everyone else seems to have just bailed, which doesn't surprise me. I did apply as a developer after the game released because I saw, and it wasn't like, oh yeah, I want to meme on this project. Like, I genuinely want to point out this was out of like uncharacteristic of me. This was a genuine request to work on this project because I genuinely wanted to save it, and I knew I had a skill set which Frontwire could take advantage of. And I think even the people I was with could sense the sincerity of my request. And considering in the podcast, the announcements, Tony's stated that he's always actively looking for developers, you would have thought that they wouldn't say no. But Tony said no. He actually said, he didn't say no, he said Lamau, as in laughing my ass off at my request, which obviously was very insulting to me, considering I have experience working with gameplay that is space to ground, something that Galaxy and Turmoil's one game mode and one map with space to ground does not work. I know, alright, yeah, I just want to point out I applied as a level designer. Which is exactly why I knew that I had a skill set the Frontwire could use, because I was obviously there for the test bunny sessions where numerous occasions they said they had no 3D staff. The thing is though, if I had joined the people that I know that are also independent developers, I know an excellent programmer, like multiple excellent programs, they would have joined as well. Applied as well, and it would have built a sort of new team in Frontwire, because and that would have potentially allowed the game to, I wouldn't say it would have saved the game instantly, but it would have improved the game quickly over the next year. At least a new map could have been created, or the current maps revised and improved. I did supply Frontwire with a document with very quick summaries of what was wrong with every map. I sort of tied this into my request to the dev team, but basically I gave them I wasn't being incredibly accurate, I wasn't giving them design outlines, which I did actually have at the time. I had concepted up redesigns of every one of the maps currently in the game, which would have flowed a lot better and played a lot better, as well as basic gameplay outline. I had that all saved. I gave them a basic summary of the changes that they could make easily, basically saying if you make these changes, it's just simple, it's up to you, or I could do it all for you, and I have a lot more stuff I would want to do. They said they'd take it into consideration. As far as I'm aware, they haven't. They did say something about the bowels having a bit of a rework. That might have been some of my suggestions. I'm not sure. We might never know. It's kind of sad that the fucking login system dropped, because that just meant the entire game doesn't work now. Which is even worse. The fact that you couldn't even keep the game working for a few months, let alone having players play it. I'll give it to them. They did try everything after the game launched to keep players. They spammed with weekly player events. Oh, someone's joined my voice chat. Oh, it's River. Hello, River.
Hey.
We're discussing Galaxy in Turmoil.
What are we discussing? The end?
No, we're just sort of discussing what caused it to fail and stuff. I have some. I have one of the Frontwire community team in my chat. So they've just brightened the map, which was one of my complaints. But I'm not going to take credit for that, because that was just fucking general. Someone could have looked at that and gone, "Wow, that looks fucking dark." The fact there's no layout change. That's incredibly. That hurts. That hurts me.
So the balcony is completely finished.
Yeah, I saw that. Looked very nice. I'm excited to see what you work on next. If anyone's wondering, this is River. He was a Battlefront 2017 modder. He is also on the Legacy dev team now. So he's working on a map for me in the background, I assume. And Ryan, welcome to the chat, you little snitch.
Thank you. Yeah, I worked as a test bunny also, and I thought I would like to put my input in.
I do remember your voice, yes.
Yeah, well, I've been very vocal about this game. I have saw potential in it for a while. And I do agree it's kind of flopped, and it's released in a state where it really shouldn't be after 4 years.
I remember when I was added to Test Bunny stage, I was like, this is nowhere near demo stage.
Well, yeah, it took forever for that demo to come out, and when the demo comes out, you're just like, you're kind of flabbergasted, because they spent years on this fucking game, and this is what they have.
Right, before anyone... I know there's been a lot of people criticising the choice of... I know Ryan has been a bit concerned about my use of gameplay here. This came out about... The gameplay you see in the background, It was the weekend before the demo came out, if I remember correctly.
Wait, the trailer was filmed the weekend before?
I'm pretty sure it was like the weekend before.
Oh, I thought it was a good few months before.
No. The original demo, which was released in November, publicly, I'm pretty sure this was filmed just before... Hang on, I can get the actual upload date on the video. That might be better. November 16th. So yeah, this would have been the weekend before the game dropped.
My memory's completely out of whack then.
I could have shown earlier gameplay. I decided not to. As for the concern about legal, I don't know. The NDA probably is legally binding, but I don't think Frontwire have the money to chase me up, so...
No, but they can kick you. They can kick you.
They can kick me, but that won't stop me. I did record all of my early access Test Bunny sessions for bug reporting. The only reason I'm using them is because I can't find any other gameplay I recorded of Git, because, quite frankly, I only played it twice after the early access version came out.
Is it really that hard to quickly load into the game and grab some gameplay?
Yes, because the login system doesn't work.
Oh. I did not know that.
Frontwire Studios should have been... Yeah, the silence... It wasn't just for silence before the release, it was the silence for years. And that's what killed the project. After the cease and desist, there was nothing. There was the 2017 stuff where they were promoting Narc T and concept art, and that was it. And then silence. They said the demo would come out what was it? The Q3 2017 meme.
Oh, they missed that by a landslide.
Ah, I remember I got an alt account on their Discord server just to use that because I was still banned.
I think it was like 2017 Q3. I think they've actually had more maps as well.
No, they had one more map that they've been promoting, which is Narc T, which is this sort of mix between Renvar and Mustafar. Basically Korriban. It looked pretty good. Well, the map was incredibly bland because obviously they had no level designers. It was a cool concept. There was some great concept art. It gave me...
I've noticed that Amalgam just does not play well, and as for that station map, it is such a generic and repetitive map. It's like
no, I gave out a basic summary of what was wrong with every map. Amalgam, I actually was the one I went into great detail about. They blame it on the student level artists they got in, who I obviously that's no excuse because to be honest, parts of Amalgam are fine. It's just how they've set up their game. I expected, at the very minimum, a conquest game mode. Anyone disagree with me?
No. It's not the student level talent. It's the fact that the people on top didn't know what they're doing.
Yeah, we went over this earlier, how there was a complete lack of leadership. Even the community manager is in my chat and was like, yeah, there was no leadership. Which is fine. At this point, I don't think Frontwire... If Frontwire starts kicking or banning people for saying that there's a lack of leadership, that everything went wrong, then that's just proving our point, because then they're going to have no one to work on the project.
Were people actually getting kicked for saying that there's no management?
Oh, no. I remember it was like when the demo came out, right after the demo came out, they were kicking and banning people for bad-mouthing the game. But when the early access came out, they were like, okay, yeah, sure, this is your opinion.
That's dodgy.
I mean, they're not going to get anywhere if they just silence criticism.
Well, they're not going to... Well, I don't... They didn't silence it. I don't think they silenced it. They just ignored it this time.
Yeah, plus, I don't think they've ever, silenced criticism of the actual game. Just the actual... As far as I know, they've only actually silenced criticism of the actual dev team.
You can't take criticism from a dev team, though, because the dev team are the ones working on it. They think everything is good. My main gripe with Galaxy and Turmoil was it was meant to be a spiritual successor to the classic Battlefronts. I could have taken the Space to Ground being absolute shit and underused, but I wanted a classic Battlefront game mode. I wanted Conquest. That's being generous. One of the Battlefront games, the original classic Battlefront games, only game mode was Conquest.
Yeah, and the whole game survived on it and became a classic.
It became a classic because of that one game mode. And it's embarrassing because that's all Frontwire had to do. They didn't have to create these overly complicated fetch quests, which they put in the final game.
They kind of pulled a Battlefront in that way.
Yeah, I feel like it feels just much more like EA Front. I agree. Rather than, in fact, I feel like they just looked at EA Front and were like, okay, let's just do this. I reckon half the dev team hadn't even probably played the classic Battlefronts, so they just signed on because they were like, oh yeah, EA did shit job, we can make better game. But no, fair enough, it wouldn't even have worked anyway, because Amalgam had 50 bloody there's so many command posts that if you weren't playing at 1080p, you couldn't select the place you wanted to spawn.
Oh yeah, I remember having big issues with the flipping command posts appearing outside the map. Though to be fair, your maps too as well.
What Legacy?
Yeah,
that's because
right at the edge.
That's an issue with the engine though. There's a limit to how big a map can be. And
you are probably pushing that to the
if we want to use a mini-map, we have to sadly... Well, if we want a high-quality mini-map that you can actually see details on, yeah, we have to have... I'm changing that in the revision, so instead of just having little dots out on the edge of the maps, it's not going to have the normal command post icon, it's going to have the capital ship itself. You're going to see a little acclamator on the side.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
I don't hold any grudge against the community. The community team is there to manage the community.
I mean, yeah,
they
the community
they
team
have
has
to
done
work.
a lot
They
of good.
they have
Rex, Steven, Junjo,
they
shout out to
they
those guys.
they have to work with what they're given. And even in 2016, we were given nothing. Like, we were basically like, oh yeah, here's the forums. What should we do about people asking questions on the forums? Answer them. But what if we don't know the answer? No response.
Plus, most questions we're asking, it'll be like, they always keep on the down low.
Oh no, I actually I actually got banned from the Frontwire forums while I was still a member of the community team for raising people's expectations, because people were asking questions. I was like, oh yeah, they might be in the game, and then gave a decent explanation of how it could work. Not at any point did I say anything officially.
Wait,
I said it.
How do you get banned from a forum but not get the sack simultaneously? That doesn't seem possible.
It's stupid. Like a week later, I was removed from the community team anyway.
Oh my. But they still kept you around as a test bunny.
Oh no, no. Test Bunny was after I got unbanned 3 years later. I had my eyes here.
Oh my gosh! I just thought Junjo.
Yeah, I know. That's probably true. Boobeer was only promoted to his place because he is a friend of Tony's. That's how a lot of Frontwire formed. Was basically because obviously Frontwire formed out of a coup to the original project.
Yeah, people really wanted to see like at least the ideas of the Radical Bubble 3 come to.
I wanted to see Conquest. Like, I didn't care if Space to Ground was terrible. Like, Legacy has pretty substandard. I'm obviously reworking that to make it a bit more interesting.
Legacy at least it like worked.
Yeah,
it wasn't, like,
we're in an
awful.
engine.
It's not awful to use.
We're in an engine that was actually built in the 90s.
Yeah.
Frontwire has
the awkward downloading.
I think they closed. I think they closed the forums ages ago.
Crashing.
Yeah, I'm reworking everything to make everything a lot better. Luke Landwalker obviously had his remake, which even in 2017 was further along than Git. Fair enough, he didn't have to create the art assets, but there's footage in April 2017 showing Amalgam with its completed art assets. So, whether it took them 3 years to finalise the art assets after that, I don't know. Especially to bear in mind that for 2 of the years that Luke Landwalker's worked in this game, it's only him, not a team, just Luke. And when he did get one other guy to work on his game, it surpassed Git very quickly. It has functioning ground vehicles that aren't buggy and a pain in the ass. I want to slap whoever did speedy gameplay in Git, because
oh yeah, not being able to navigate with the mouse was
oh no, it's the WAS and D. The way it just snaps.
Stiff. It felt so stiff. I remember the moment I first used that, I was like, I hate it. Told the dev. It said there was some technical reason behind why they couldn't do it.
Oh no, the technical reason obviously is just the excuse they have for everything.
Oh, okay.
The tank is obviously abysmal because the wheels are buggy as fuck because some dipshit had the idea to make it physics. It would have been fine had the physics been tuned properly, but they hadn't, so it was basically the Unreal Engine 4 vehicle starter kit with a fucking gun attached. The fact that it requires 2 men to use a tank is just stupid, because it just makes the tanks not very fun to play. Like the classic Battlefront tanks were so much fun because most of them were hover tanks. You could strafe, you could shoot. In Battlefront 1, the splash damage that the cannons had.
Like
you didn't need
super sci-fi universe and was still on wheels.
I just feel like it's a mix. They couldn't quite figure out what they want to do, because there's a lot of things that they tried to keep grounded, but there's a lot of things that are just way too sci-fi. Like you have the vehicles on wheels, the guns shoot bullets, not lasers.
Yes, yeah, well, that's the problem. There's no art There's no art direction.
The art direction's also
art.
no, right. So the art direction, the concept art's fine, but they never had a dedicated 3D artist or level artist.
Yeah.
But that's because in order to keep we're not talking trash, we're criticizing it. In order to properly develop a game, you need to tell them what to do. You need to be involved, which the management wasn't. I mean, Bubib was, but that's only when he came on to fuck around. Essentially, he didn't take it seriously. In fact, didn't Bubib bail on Git after the demo failed?
Definitely.
He bailed immediately.
To be fair, I also lost interest once I realized what Git was becoming.
Oh no, I didn't lose interest because the memes and that hate, obviously, I let that flow through me, and obviously that kept me interested in the game for a little while.
I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I'm still, like, heavily, like, I want to see, like, basic rounds, if not in Star Wars, in some form.
If there's another coup and the developers try to overthrow the management, I'm definitely going to try and toss my hat in the ring as a potential candidate to replace them. What's your resume, Battlefront 3 Legacy? Why should we be impressed by that? It's an actual working space to ground thing.
To be fair, game development and modding are very different.
I know, but I also have done game design in a similar field. I'm just not allowed to show that off, sadly, so... I've helped with projects, I just can't actually take credit for that, and I'm working on my own one, which isn't that far along, but still.
I remember, like, since, like, 2018, I've been saying, like, we need troop transport vehicles. Everyone's just going and fighting for staying in the air. And they do, like, they create, like, a spear.
Oh yeah, the fucking... No, that was from the request of escape pods, because obviously Free Radical had escape pods. So instead of scripting in working escape pods, I want to point out, before its ultimate demise, Luke game did actually have escape pods that worked fine. In fact, they worked...
surprisingly, his escape pods actually worked properly.
Yeah.
Like
I remember the fucking... The podcast of Tony Now, where everyone was just spamming chat with Shaman Gun and what about Luke game? Tony got he was not very happy. He refused to answer the questions, even though he said he would answer any question.
I mean, where is Shaman Gun? That question was never even answered.
Apparently they added it. Apparently it was too OP, then they removed it. In my opinion, I think they never added it. I noticed Tony... Alright, to be fair, I'll give it to Tony. After the early access thing flopped, he was opening the Unreal Engine 4 project at least once a week. Which looked like all he was doing is fucking around with the damage values and explosion effects. Basically, he was doing very surface level UE4 stuff.
Basically just balancing the game, not actually doing anything.
No, make it look like he's doing something. To be honest, what they should have done is not be idiots.
Well, yeah,
About a lot of people.
that's the first step to game
Development teams should have been the one to point out there's no leadership. They should have then built... Obviously, the hierarchy is very hard to fight because obviously no one would be given an official title. But yeah, they've just... This is what happens when you let developers with essentially no... I give them like no actual thing to work on and just tell them make game.
You think this is sort of what's happening with Star Citizen?
I reckon the biggest flaw is probably, the game director not playing classic battle. Actually, no, I do remember that. I do remember Buba saying he's never actually played the classic Battlefront games.
Oh.
Star Citizen might just straight be a scam. About
No,
what you said,
I don't know.
yeah.
Tony's probably only using it to obviously for his own purposes because obviously he has no.
Yeah, that's why he's gone.
He has
three
no.
different dev teams.
He has no skill in game design. No interest in the game now. Obviously, he's obviously following his music career. He didn't even do the sound design for the game. He didn't even do the sound design for the game. This is the man in charge, people. The guy who doesn't develop the game, hasn't really designed the game, and hasn't even made the
Hasn't
game's
played the-
soundtrack.
Hasn't played the classic Battlefront, even though it's based
Oh,
off
no,
Battlefront.
that
Yeah,
was-
it's-
That's Buba, that's Buba.
I think Tony might have actually played it once.
He
15
played,
years
he
ago.
played it for about 10 minutes. He played Coruscant one time.
All right, that's another thing I want to point out. None of the original, none of the active and long-time developers of Galaxy and Turmoil have played Battlefront 3. The cancelled build.
How do you develop a game that's supposed to be a spiritual successor to Battlefront 3 and not play the game
Because the two guys that played it back when Git was Star Wars were kicked from the project.
Tony never played it.
Omar.
It's so easy to play. It's so easy to play 70217. You literally just need Xenia and 7 gigabytes.
That
of space.
wasn't a thing until way too late.
Recently? Hmm.
Remember, you've only been here for the last year. You weren't even around when Git was in its infancy. Shut up, Xbox gamer. Where's your Battlefront 3 remake? How far did that get?
Shut up. Actually, it came pretty
You got
far
you.
for my level of.
You didn't even finish modeling one gun.
I was using a lot of placeholder
Oh,
assets.
Tony himself
say
added
that.
the domination map. That's probably why nothing works because.
Hey, I was also around for its infancy.
The
I
township
just
isn't
wasn't-
even properly textured.
No, they use a lot of vertex cut. It's just. I gave a very. I broke down how to fix the maps for Git. In the process, it would have fixed the gameplay. I told them to scrap the massive map because it was horrible. I told them to focus on one key landmark because from space you need something to look at and be like, okay, so that's where the map is. In this case, I told them focus around the big, like a big crashed ship in the middle.
Oh, I did suggest that sort of ideas.
I had a massive document documenting it. I said basically split the map into 3 sections. 2 sections with landing zones and big open areas. Then one big interior area where, like, you know, most of the action will happen. Sort of, best example I can give, Battlefront 3 Coruscant. You can see it in Legacy. 2 big open areas, 2 landing areas, then a big middle area with close quarters gameplay, cover, and majority of the command posts. It would.
I feel like to get Santorini playing smooth on Space Assault.
Oh, well, we're working. I'm working on that. It will hopefully work in the end.
Yeah, I'm surprised it got working at all though. Like, it's sort of a similar situation to Amalgam.
Dantooine is big, but it's still a decent size. It's big, but it's not too big. It's got enough command posts. Amalgam is just giant, and I feel like
they couldn't even meet that 32v32 promise.
oh no, the servers were too weak because there's too much shit going on.
Yeah, so it's not even like they could get the right player counts that the map's been built for.
Oh no.
Using, like,
No,
this,
no.
2005 Dell.
If you go back to, I found a old test bunny footage, which I'm not showing obviously because obviously that is, you know, really early stuff, and I'm not showing that.
Yeah.
The guy who created this map, who was quit the project. He was quoted as saying, "This map is designed for 100v100." And I just sat there like, that's the most retarded thing I've ever heard.
I mean, even AAA games have tried to do that and failed. Like flipping Modern Warfare, like Infinity War tried to do that and they failed. What chance does a flipping indie studio have with that?
Are you kidding? They have Tony Romanelli on their side.
It's
they
the fact, right? What you need is you don't even need a talented and experienced developer at the helm. You just need someone who's talented and experienced in just game concepting at the helm. Someone who knows how to curb ambition and keep consistency. And they would have done fine. Fuck, even if they had Luke Landwanker as the fucking leader of Frontwire. As devastating as that would be.
That would kill the project.
Actually, no, he's a really bad example. I think, no, Git would have turned out worse with him.
Alright, we're gonna bring it back to Star Wars.
We need 200 versus 200. 8K textures. No, Luke would have ruined this project. No, I need a better example. That isn't me.
And there'd be feature creep.
Like, yeah, I know one of the things that really did piss me off when the reviews were coming in is the people trying to defend the game, saying that it was zero funding, volunteer team. Zero funding.
No, there isn't.
No, there isn't. They failed. Because obviously they let the publicity on the game die after 2017. Most people lost faith after Q3 2017.
To be fair, that is a red flag. If the if they miss the deadline by 3 years, that is a red flag.
But no, there is no defense saying.
How often do crowdfunding games go well, anyways?
There is no defense saying, you know, no funding, volunteer team, when there have been just as many, you know, no funding, volunteer team fan projects taken up since Git started that got to the stage that Git is at, maybe without multiplayer, or further. It just shows that it doesn't matter.
I remember that the bots, like, they've kind of shoehorned in. They have no one who knows how
they were very generic. They were probably copied from some tutorial. Considering that they aren't afraid to use marketplace assets in the past, I wouldn't be surprised if they did now.
I mean, use some of them as placeholders, that's understandable, but when the game goes public, no, you shouldn't have any pre-made assets. It should all be internal stuff.
I would actually, to be honest, with it, I know a lot of people like, to be honest, I actually disagree with the internal statement. I feel like a game of this caliber and scale, with obviously being an independent project, I will say that I would have accepted UE4 marketplace assets should they be consistent with the art design of the project and the artwork, just consistent with the project altogether, to the point where I couldn't tell. I wouldn't have cared.
Yeah. Well, if you couldn't tell...
I care now, obviously, because Git turned out to be a failure, and I will criticise them for using marketplace assets now. Because I will criticise them for everything, because I can't really justify my love for this game too much. I've had my fun with it. That's because the Test Bunny sessions were mostly, 40 of us on a server fucking around. But I won't lie that even during those Test Bunny sessions, on Amalgam especially, I was running around doing nothing. It wasn't fun.
Amalgam, I don't have to tell them that.
The Bows.
The tower ship map, I've had some fun with the tower ship.
The tower ship is fun, but still incredibly terribly designed. The Bows is horrible to play on because of just how fucking crowded it is.
For me, it's not so much the crowded. Though, to be fair, I do play that tiny flipping Battlefield format. For me, it's just the fact that everything looks the same.
It wasn't even designed for multiplayer. It was a single player level that they imported into multiplayer because they.
That single player mission would have been a flippin' remake of the library for Combat Evolved.
Oh no! Right. So for some reason, this is probably the biggest mistake Git made. Was they decided that they were going to focus on multiplayer. No, not multiplayer, single player, because obviously Boo Bear is a single player fan. This was an immediate problem because first off, this Battlefront, the single player was shoehorned in. It was apart from the bots obviously, but it's still meant to play like a multiplayer game. It was a multiplayer focused game.
You can have multiplayer focused games like for campaigns, like look at games like Halo.
Yeah, but
Or
that's because
the latest Modern Warfare.
they, well, Call of Duty, they designed the multiplayer first and then designed the campaign. But no, Git with its small team, small production value, and pretty much,
Yeah, but the demolition should have gone neither one way or
they
the other.
decided to go straight in. They thrust their dicks into the air and went, you know what, we're going to make a single player, massive universe. This obviously was inevitably going to... This is probably why they delayed the demo. Because the script copy I have is from I think it's early 2018, which means they were working on single player throughout
Yeah, the
2017.
one full of fart jokes.
Yes,
You said
that
half of it is fart jokes, according to the devs it's all fart jokes.
it's horrible.
Yeah, that's cringy. Like
It
all
was
of the-
cringy as fuck, and it was just not... It took me 2 hours to read, and I just want to point out it's a 20-minute mission.
I'd also like to point out that even the community team are actually defending it, saying it's funny.
It's not. It is cringe-inducing.
Really
So
is
it
not
wasn't
funny.
supposed to be more like a kind of humorous like Fortnite type like story.
No. Right, so I can't tell what they were trying to do.
No, it's advertised as a flippin' serious
If you
story.
look at the design, it looks serious. The entire first mission of the game is just fart jokes, immature humor, which isn't funny. Obviously, if I tried to tell this to the guy who wrote the script, he'd probably be like, "Oh no, it's because you're British, you don't get the humor." No, it's just not funny in general because I was reading it in a voice chat full of multinational people. I had people from Greek guy in the voice chat, had Americans in the voice chat. It just was abysmal to read. The dialogue was bad. To be honest,
If there was a bunch of innuendos, then maybe it would have been okay.
oh no, I have a limit to how many innuendos you can have.
That's fair.
It was
So
just...
basically, Galaxy in Turmoil is like if every character came from Destiny.
I'm not impressed by the writer. To be honest, the fact that his only qualifications were he was a journalist is bad because, like I said at the beginning of the stream, any retard with a keyboard can be an internet journalist. The sheer amount of spelling mistakes and grammatical errors and basic English in the script just shows how unqualified this person was to create a story like this.
Why do you hire a journalist to write a narrative story?
Take it up with
That's
Tony Roman.
weird. That would have been
Take it up with Tony
unbelievable.
Ravioli.
Golly.
I don't even think English was his first language, which is obviously a problem when you're
So everything we had to be
developing.
translated, or did he
I don't.
know at least how to
I
write
think
English?
I think he
To
knew how
be
to write
fair,
English just
I
very
would have
poorly.
been okay if the concept was, if the idea was trying to go with was interesting, but the fart jokes, that's not interesting at all.
I actually summed up how they
mean-
should have handled the game. Multiplayer should have come first, obviously. What about universe building? Well, they could have still, thought of these interesting locations, and then they should have fleshed out the factions, not the
fair,
characters. Ignore the single-player characters. They should have thought of species, races, and the factions, fleshed out the universe before they fleshed out the characters, so that once the multiplayer was out and they had funding, they could have then, put all that funding into making a single-player campaign, which they then could have charged money for.
Yeah, it's they've definitely mishandled this game with great potential.
I've obviously stated for a while now that I have been planning to have my own attempt at Git, trying to show up front wire. Obviously, I've not got anything to show for it because I only started work on it like 2 weeks ago, and I haven't really been working. I've been too busy working on Legacy, and doing other things because obviously it's a bit of a busy time. Things are finally opening up in the UK, and I've got a lot of shit to do. I mean, I just want to point out my game already has a better start than Frontwire, considering it actually has it sort of has financing, which Git doesn't have. But yeah, I'm having my own attempt. I'm throwing my hat in the ring. I'm going to make a third-person Battlefront successor with Space to Ground that won't suck, because I've spent the last few years researching and working with Battlefront 3 stuff.
Yeah.
I have done other stuff in the background as well. Not many people see or know all that shit, but yeah, I can do shit, and this will be hopefully the big thing. It won't be mishandled like Git. If I do form a team, I know what not to do, because Git has obviously set the bar on what not to do.
Well, what people are following you on that, because you do seem to have a decent idea of, and you seem to have learned the lessons from Wire.
They have learnt the lessons a bit too late. I feel kind of bad that their entire team seems to have just bailed at this point and given up.
Yeah.
It would have been vital that they hadn't done that. I do find it insulting that Bube, the guy who directed this train wreck, the moment that obviously it became apparent that it was a train wreck, he just fucking bailed.
Yeah, I mean, at least I had the I think Lexus is gone now as well.
Ah, Lex doesn't surprise me. I've had my issues with Lex in the past. Tony's obviously not interested anymore. I mean, the potential is still there. If they had a new level designer, a new game director,
Yeah.
if they had hired new developers while they could have rectified this. Just, start
At this point,
strip.
if they want to get this working, they're gonna have to start over.
No, they have to strip it down to the base and then begin to work with what they know works. In this case, strip it all down, keep the server system, because the multiplayer, as shite as it was, worked, and that's the best they could ask for, to be honest.
Yeah, the servers were fine. The
Work,
servers weren't the issue.
scale down the maps, the ground maps, scale up the space maps, and you work with a coherent vision based on what you're actually a successor of.
Yeah. It did irritate me a fair amount about how much, about how, like, how they didn't, like, take the time to make a space battle map. Like,
Well, they have now, because they've quickly shat one out, because it was
have they?
requested. Yeah, and in the update that we're never going to get, yeah, they've put a crappy little space map in, because...
Yeah, I thought it's like, it's such a simple thing to do, but at least, like, make it slightly...
It's just Space Team Deathmatch. It's not that fun, to be honest.
Well, the ship combat,
It looks like
it's fun.
Tony had a lot to do with the production of it, so don't lower your expectations if Tony's involved.
I mean, at least he's involved.
Oh no, he became involved once the early access dropped, because obviously he was like, oh shit, my chance to steal Kickstarter money's fucked up. No, I need to fix this myself.
So you think he's just a money grabber then?
No, I don't think he's a money grabber. I just think that he's a bit confused. I think he just he's one. You know how you get people that just want to go through life trying everything, and not really putting in the effort to properly do something. They just want to, like, you know,
Like Woodland Walker.
yeah, like Leonard Walker. Yeah, exactly like Leonard Walker. Tony just woke up one day in 2016 and was like, I want to become a game manager. I want to make a video game.
I mean, I've decided that I want to become a game
No. The
developer
difference is,
years
though, is
ago, and
obviously
I've been experimenting with Unreal and
Tony
shaking up
has no
everything
background.
using.
He has no background in game production prior to 2016.
Yeah.
I don't think he even had any interest in making games prior to 2016. Until his little coup overthrew the original developers of what would become Git. He wasn't. He had no background in. I remember he tried a few things. I think he was a journalist at one point. Basically just throwing a load of shit at the wall, seeing what will stick. Obviously, now that Git's failed, he's obviously bailed onto a SoundCloud YouTube music career, which is mediocre at best.
Ouch.
You need to remember, I'm an avid brony. I listen to the fucking daily dubstep tracks that get dropped, and they're all fucking better than. Actually, I say Tony's on par with them. I'll be generous. And you know, it takes him a solid month to get a track out, and these guys do it in like a few days. It's all relatively.
The Q3 soundtrack will be out by the end of the year.
Status best dubstep artist. He's trying now. Yeah, so Tony's now bailed on Legacy, the bailed on Git, and is now trying to be the next Avicii, which he won't be, obviously, because he's just making very generic dubstep when dubstep is no longer popular. No, Git's dead, I'm afraid, and I think that's what is gonna come.
I mean, yeah, it is.
If we get this next update,
It's really depressing.
if
but
we
yeah,
get this
it's
next
good.
update, that'll be it. I reckon they might do. Don't hold my word to it. They might do some other bug fixes afterwards with like slight adjustments where they move like one crate.
I mean, at least everyone didn't simultaneously bail on it.
Oh no, there was a slow. Booby bailed early, then everyone else bailed after the early access dropped. Shit! It's Tony. It's Lord Fabrizio. Fabrizio! Oh my god! This isn't live gameplay, Fab. This is like recorded from months ago.
I think it's a year ago at this point.
I'm excited now. I'm erect. The German master has come online.
Cool. So you want to talk to him about the fact that, about how you feel about the fact that you feel that he abandoned.
Well, no, I don't feel he's
Legacy
about.
project?
He's just inactive, and that's why I'm obviously
That
little-
wasn't what
a
you
little-
were saying before he joined the chat.
That's because I didn't know he was going to join the chat. Hello.
Exactly.
No, a lot of designers here. I haven't actually seen him in a while, and I don't think he's been commenting on any of the other streams or videos. Then again, he only comes on at midnight for some reason.
Time phone?
Oh, Razor's here. Very cool.
I've been here for so long.
You're really quiet.
Oh. How about now?
Very nice.
Yeah, that's better.
But nah, Git is dead. It's not going to survive. I mean, it wasn't going to survive fucking back in, what is it, April it came out? Yeah, it's not going to survive now.
Yeah.
It's doomed. And
I feel like it is time
The-
to move on.
it is time to move on, which is obviously why I started my Project Zero, which I've obviously stated in the few videos that I plan on working on. I haven't really been able to obviously get off the ground because I need to find a time to do so.
Yeah.
I do have a team being formed, small team, trying to keep it small. Git is a thing now. Git was never a thing, Fab. That's what this is.
Anyways,
You missed. If you wanted to play Galaxy in Turmoil, you missed it. because it was only playable for like a month before they changed for login servers.
Yeah.
Big brain time. Yeah, you genuinely can't play Git now. It's on Steam. You can download it, but you can't get past the login screen.
I might actually uninstall it then.
Have you not tried? Have you tried launching it? Because
Actually, I'm on the dev version, so it might be different.
I'm not on the dev version anymore. All in all, this is yeah, Git's doomed. I feel like there can be another attempt at what Git was supposed to be, providing that the leadership is obviously dedicated and does their job.
Are you gonna try and obtain the IP?
I would love to obtain the IP of Galaxy in Turmoil, but I feel like Tony's that kind of guy who would charge a lot of money for this, shite IP.
Oh, no harm in trying.
He does an Omar. He's the entrepreneur that is Tony's given up on Git. The dev team's bailed completely. I mean, it's not been officially stated, but the word
Yeah,
internal
no longer exists.
internal struggle was thrown around, which translates into everyone bailed. Boobie
Yeah.
bailed, who was the game director. He bailed
An
in November.
internal struggle implies that there's uncertainty in there. This is a lot more than that. That's an understatement.
Oh no, I think the internal struggle was the struggle of the fact that everyone had just bailed.
Yeah, everyone left.
You missed it, Omar. We had the community manager
Wait,
of Frontwire in my chat, stating that this is a lost cause.
wait, how is the... You got some most recently promoted to... Wow, the flippin'...
Oh yeah, I
Community
forgot
that's
Tony.
not
I forgot Tony was a Club Penguin moderator.
No, I was just confused because I thought Dungeon was the most recently promoted to be part of the community team, so I'm surprised he got up to manager so quickly.
No, it's because he got to manager because Lex bailed.
Yeah, but what happened
I
to...
feel sorry for Lex.
Steven
Lex
and Beaver?
couldn't hear the failure of Git coming.
Mr. Pood.
What, Mr. Poots?
Huh?
Mr. Poo's been on the community team for ages.
Yeah, no, I'm wondering why he wasn't promoted.
I don't think he's that active anymore.
He's still pretty active.
He's actually a fucking community administrator on Battlefront 3 Legacy for some reason. I hope Fab comes online, so I'd love to get some more assets. If he's still there. I'd love to get my yearly source drop.
This point, might as well just send everything to you and just say good luck. I feel like you should set up like a cloud system that contains all the assets for Legacy.
That's what we're setting up right now, but well, for me and my team of idiots, apart from BK2.
Thanks.
BK2's good. He's not an idiot. I like him. I'm currently setting up a source drop. I've actually just dropped them a lot of shit already, but I'm
What are the requirements to join the team, out of curiosity?
we have multiple roles at the moment. The biggest one is we need Battlefront 2 modders. Experienced Battlefront 2 modders. Apart from that, it's just basic UV mapping, essentially. We actually have a couple. I think we have we have a few more levels that just need a bit of modelling work and UV maps. We have one that just needs UV maps, but that's up to whoever wants to join the team, because that is hell.
Oh boy.
I might dabble in a bit of molestation station.
Molestation station, the best station. But no, I'd love to get my yearly asset drop from Fab. I should have asked him while he was chatting. He might still be here, I don't know. He's probably watching a stream while he's waiting for matchmaking on League of Legends. I have eyes everywhere. I could find out if he was playing League, but I'm not going to because I don't want to install League. No, Tony. Already in the he's already in the game. He's not waiting for matchmaking. He's already in the game.
Okay, well, at
Best
least
not
he's,
interrupt you then, Fab. No. I would love to obtain the IP for Galaxy and Turmoil because obviously, that's just free publicity. Even if it's fucking, people have already bailed on the project. Announcing Galaxy and Turmoil 2, at least people know the game's premise immediately. And might take a look at it, but...
I mean, not so much Galaxy and Turmoil 2, more Galaxy and Turmoil 0.2.
0.2. Galaxy and Turmoil revised.
Yeah, just reboot the game.
But the issue is I don't think I'd even be able to get the IP, because Tony would probably fucking... he'd probably sell it at a price being...
Oh my god. Shaman, you gotta see what the fucking idiot that, bailed on, my EA front Mustafar mod. You gotta see what he's doing. He just, replaced... Oh god.
Oh, what? He's the guy that replaced the weird flying manta rays on Mustafar with.
No, that was actually cool, and that wasn't for him. Look at my DMs.
The images are loading, taking a while. Oh, well, that's terrible.
Yep.
What is it?
It's beautiful.
But is it terrible or beautiful? Which is it?
It's beautiful when sarcasm. It's just it looks beautiful because it's so terrible. But no, so when it's get it the.
Oh, should I just rub it in his face? Should I post the?
You should you can rub it in his face.
In creations.
Yeah. It's free publicity for Legacy, so yeah, do it. No, I feel like the Git is obviously it's done. It's had its time. It failed, which is all down to the leadership. Booby is the one to blame because he wanted to make the game like EA Front because he hasn't actually played the classic Battlefronts. The thing that you're promoting your game as. Obviously, after 3 years of promoting the game as a Battlefront 3 successor, if you watch Tony's latest podcasts and interviews and shit, he obviously tried to tone down it being a successor.
Yeah, they tried to disconnect themselves from Star Wars a lot.
They started trying to disconnect themselves in the Battlefront game, but people expected Battlefront. They didn't get that. They didn't even get anything close to EA Front. They just got a generic third-person shooter with fetch quests.
They didn't even really get anything. There really isn't much to the demo.
As far as tech demos go, this is overly disappointing. If they had just one map, loads of functioning different vehicle classes, all the different class... That's another problem with the gameplay, is all the classes just feel the same. They don't fulfill any specific roles. The demolitions class, all the weapon like grenade launchers and shit, it's just autistic. You can't... It's just not effective against vehicles.
Yeah.
When most of your vehicles are aerial vehicles, you need rocket launchers. You don't have any ground vehicles that justify a grenade launcher.
Yeah.
That has a range equivalent to...
I remember when the clutch was flipping stupid powerful.
I don't think there'll be Git 2. Well, there'll be Git 2 produced by me, but I don't think that'll be officially Git 2. It'll be
a reskin.
Git but better.
It'll be a Git reskin.
It'll be Battlefront 3 reskin. What Git was supposed to be.
What kind? I'm curious as to what kind of law you're gonna go with, like what type of galaxy you want to develop, or even universe.
Universe, I was thinking of keeping it relatively grounded, rather than like. It's hard because obviously with sci-fi, it's virtually impossible not to get the generic comment to come up. The only time you don't see the generic comment come up is when you're dealing with an IP that's existed for fucking over 20 years.
Yeah.
My plan was
I
to.
mean, there are ways if you have a direction for your art design, you won't.
I
get
do.
those
I do have a
comments.
direction. Well, you're still going to get the comments anyway. It's regardless. It's sci-fi, and sci-fi is classed as generic now for some reason.
I mean, I know someone who says all shooters are the same, which never stupid.
The universe I was planning was rather than obviously having. I was going to include humans just because it's just fucking easier to have humans in.
I mean, I feel like Alien Galaxy, like, it would be cool to have some, like, non-humanoids. It's really a thing that no one really plays around with.
It's more for multiplayer purposes. Obviously, it's unfair to have one team have a larger hitbox than the other.
Yeah, but I'm more referring to, like, having, like, a team with multiple species.
That's sort of what the Voria was supposed to be, but it was obviously handled terribly.
Yeah, it just came to, like, three humanoid species.
Now the thing is, when it comes to universe building, I obviously want to try and make mine as like unique as possible, but at the same time,
less of the Star Trek.
at the same time, I know my focus is multiplayer, so to be honest, it doesn't matter. I still want to have humans as one of the primary factions, just because if I do ever do a story, the thing is with humanity is obviously human nature and stuff. I was going to play around with that. I was going to make it blurred on whether humanity was actually good or bad, because obviously in most games humans are the good guys. But if you obviously,
it's good to play around with grey areas.
I was going to play with it because obviously, the thing is about all sci-fi's, humans are always the one colonizing. If you look at history, colonizing wasn't necessarily a.
Halo they weren't colonizing.
Most
Were
sci-fi.
working with other species equally.
Well, Star Wars, it's not set in the same universe. Like I was going to have Earth as a location.
Oh right.
But no, I was sort of going to go over the whole, are humans good or bad? I was going to make it so, like, from certain angles, humanity was good, but from just as many angles, they were the villains of the game. I was going to make it so both the two major factions were blurred.
Like Halo 2 did, but obviously not like Halo 5.
I've not actually played through all the Halo games, I'm not going to lie, so.
Halo 2 essentially it's like you had missions where you played as an elite.
But no, yeah, I was just going to play around the grey areas and stuff.
Yeah.
Like an actual war is. A war itself is just entirely just a massive grey area.
Unless it's World War 2.
World War II still quite a big grey area.
Yeah, there's still grey area, but there's no denying who the main baddie was.
Yeah. Depends who you ask, though, because obviously there are people. There is obviously Russia was still not a good force in World War II. They destroyed a lot more than people realise. Russia destroyed half of Europe to get back at one country.
Oh, that is fair. The history did kind of twist that a little bit.
There are a lot of grey areas in, but obviously that's what I want to obviously do a story on.
Like Hitler, like he is the most generic villain to exist in real life.
Well, no, you can't really say he's the most generic villain because he wasn't outright evil. Yes, he became quite a big bastard, but Joseph Stalin was an even bigger bastard. Hitler was, yes, he was evil and mad towards the end, but he
had mental illness.
had good intentions at the beginning. Yes, he was. Yeah, he stayed. He did do quite a few good things for Germany. Obviously, he was a massive fascist,
Stalin
which is a
had
problem.
Pretty good idea. Started off good as well. I mean, like when you think about Marxism on a base level, it actually sounds like a good idea.
Well, Marxism is a good level, dependent on how it's handled.
I mean, there's a lot of complexity.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Maybe
We should stop discussing German history. Fab might get a bit triggered.
Oh, does that hiccup? Oh yeah, because Germans have. Yeah, it's not like England where they're full of the one hubris.
But no, it doesn't really matter because yes, he was a fascist. He was quite a big bastard, especially towards the end. He basically slowly got worse. He was a bit mad, but he's not as stupid, mad, or idiotic as some modern fascists.
I mean, they have atomic
I agree.
bombs to play with, so of course they're going to be mad.
He managed to at least fix Germany before he started the war. Well,
Did he
fix it
really
as best he
fix it?
could from the massive pit that the Republic had dug.
Yeah, it was like on the brink of.
He fixed
Why
it
are we
by
talking about
removing
German
thousands-
history?
Just
Like,
off the
quick
Gagarin
discussion.
Turmoil in September 2020. Flippin', we went off track there, didn't we, boys?
Members of Parliament are fucking bigger retards and bastards than fucking Hitler.
Oh yeah, Donald.
Nigel
Boris Johnson's about to break international law.
Trump's a bit. He's just a retard, to be honest.
Trump's less of a threat, more just stupid.
You need to remember the rich in America are all racist. It's not really a big exception. Like, it's not like, oh, Trump's a big. He's a bit of a retard, a bit of a racist. All of the big monopoly-owning people in America are, if you think about it.
I mean, isn't that just America? Just a
No,
flippin'
the South,
far
the
right.
South, the South was very racist. The South is also very stupid.
Yeah, there is a compliment there. If you're racist, you're also likely to be stupid.
Well, yeah.
In fact, the fact that you're racist is evidence of that.
No, but yeah, basically, yeah, I was. The cities are also racist. To be honest, alright, I'm not going to turn this into a fucking, yeah, let's try and avoid turning this into that kind of discussion. I don't want to start discussing fucking real world issues.
Yeah, well, that's probably already demonetized.
I don't care about monetization. My channel's not monetized.
Okay, then lucky for you.
No, it's just
You won't be able to monetize
that's just
anything.
heading into not just a grey area, just a general dark area. No, basically,
I mean,
yeah,
really,
my
it's
concept
gonna
was
go
to
to
create
dark area.
two major factions,
That's what I
and the
said.
focus would be on them, not specific characters, not specific like, yeah, the campaign will obviously center around events, but the multiplayer was just two factions fighting.
Yeah.
Basic. That's what you need. I wasn't going to
Yeah, and
really.
then just build the world around that.
I would have ironed them out over time, but once obviously both sides were going to have their own signature style.
Yeah, like art style.
Not as bad as Git, where the com and Vori are just so far separated.
Yeah, like the comet's like white, and flippin' purple, while the war is just rust.
No, it's going to be like
Texture to
the-
the,
the-
it
the-
is just rust.
the Earth-based faction will obviously have a lot of human design to it. It's going to look like how we perceive sci-fi in sort of when we build something, like if you look at the original Alien films, Star Wars, we always perceive our own technology to be like our architecture in general. It's just all corridors and stuff. Meanwhile, the other faction will obviously might take on a bit more of a. I think the best idea I was given was a bit like the Kryptonians from the modern DC universe, with like the Kryptonian ship from Batman v Superman.
I'm not into DC.
I mean, it's a very generic sci-fi look to how aliens stuff with like curvature. But obviously, I was going to add some functionality behind it, as if
aliens probably really don't look like at all whatsoever.
I was going to like go off it based on like the geography of where the second faction was from, how they would perceive mechanics, the necessities that obviously that like I'd think it all through. But to be honest, the art direction is the last thing. Right now, I just want to tackle gameplay, getting all the different.
Yeah.
I want.
I mean, yeah, I feel like the best way to tackle it is just get everything up and running, then worry about texturing it all.
Yeah, which
it's a common technique in game design where you just sort of
a lot of game designers, what they do is they obviously do the art design and the programming side by side.
Isn't it a technique where like programmers like block out levels before they?
Yeah, that is a technique, but that only applies to games where obviously 3D assets aren't the primary source of the level. But when it comes to AAA games, all the character models are created alongside the game. The levels are fleshed out by level designers while the gameplay is still being created.
I thought textures are the last thing on the to-do list for AAA games.
Textures, no. Models are the last thing.
Right.
If you want a good example of how to learn level design, my suggestion is source engine mapping. It's to be honest, the best way you can learn level design, because you get a choice of games, each one play differently, which obviously gives you different play styles to consider.
There are a lot of math.
To honest, no. Source Engine is definitely the best for teaching you professional game design technique. Well, like design techniques for level design, because it will teach you all the nearest skills. Because you've got Team Fortress 2, which will teach you how to balance out 9 different classes, 9 different play styles, a different art style. Different kinds of levels and game modes. CSGO is obviously another one that's highly competitive. It teaches you, yeah.
Oh my, yeah.
It's all the same, like all the same stuff, all the same. The skills you learn for one still apply to the other. It's all the same programs, techniques. It's just different play styles, scales. It just teaches you the fundamentals of level design. It's to be honest, the best example.
I have seen a lot of stuff and I've experimented with a lot of stuff when it comes to level design, and I think I've got a pretty decent hand on it. Like, I think I know how to create something decent.
Oh no, I pointed out all the flaws in Git and got laughed away by Tony Romanelli himself.
Okay.
Because apparently,
I've actually been planning on making a map for Halo Infinite on its new Forge mode, and I've got a design for it, so I'll show you it and you can criticize away.
I won't criticise it on stream, I'm not that cruel. No, Tony Romanelli, I'm still pissed at and find it incredibly insulting that he laughed at my me saying that I'd help him make Git.
Albert Einstein, people thought he'd be stupid initially.
I know, it's the fact that I had someone vouch for me who had also just posted a summary of his portfolio on the Git server, and Tony still responded with just Lamau. And all like the community staff and the developers there, like, okay, you need to ask Tony. We'd love to have you. And this is Tony like fucking laughing my ass off.
Yeah, he kind of dooms the projects there.
No, basically, I also then went into him like, why aren't you hiring more developers? There are a lot of people who have said they're willing to work on this project. Why aren't they working on this project? Tony's like, oh, well, you see, we aren't willing to, it's a stressful process. Teaching them are, like, showing them what they need, getting them up to speed on the blueprints and stuff like that. Make sure they know what everything is, how everything works. It just takes too long. I was like, well, that's the point. You need to teach them and then tell them what to do. So, yeah, basically, Git wasn't getting more developers because they couldn't be asked to introduce new developers to the fucking game.
Okay, yeah, setups have failed then.
It's fucking laughable. When you're getting shown up by a Unity game developed by one guy, an Unreal Engine developed by another guy, and a Battlefront 2 2005 mod developed basically by one guy, you know you failed. You had they had a team of 100 in 2016. The issue is, Omar, there's a flaw with that though. They credited all the concept artists as developers. So they had 100 concept artists in 2016.
Why would they? Why would they? That's fucking frustrating. They're not developers if they draw like. Yeah, I can draw things too.
Like I have my problems
like
with FrontWire, but
concept
had they released,
I'm not a. You're a dev if you do that. You're a concept artist. You got to be credited as so.
I had
It's
my
getting
problems.
Late, so
Alright,
I'm gonna
okay.
be
Bye.
logging off now. Okay, bye.
Bye, Ryan. No, like I've had my problems with Git and FrontWire, but had they released at least not even just a great game, just a decent game that at least had conquest, I would be a little bit nicer to him when it comes to like just fucking shitting on him. But at the end of the day, the game flopped. Tony's a retard. There's no leadership involved. Everything just fell apart, and now we're left with this beautiful game that is just a mess. Not as a mess as Legacy is, but that's because, to be honest, I'm a bit burnt out now. So I've just decided to start doing a movie binge watch instead, which is great fun until things calm down a bit and I can be bothered to work on shit again. We are looking for more Legacy developers, as always. Well, I am. Fab isn't. It's not that hard. We just need. I want people to do very specific things, which is probably why we're never actually going to be able to fill in that those spaces. Because I want to get everything out and done as quickly as possible, quality as possible as well. This has been Git in September 2020, where we basically just realised, this failed. Everyone seems to be learning the basics at the moment, Edu. I mean, we might be getting 2 more team members soon. 2 more team members to basically... I need to find something for them to do. I'm sure there's something they can do, but it's going to be Gonk Droid and the Frogman might be joining the team. I might put them in charge of the error mod. So I can focus on updating the main mod, that because I'm reworking everything, making it better, while I wait for maps to be completed.
Be fucking patient.
I am being patient, that's why I'm reworking everything!
Okay.
I'm getting the space stuff reworked. It's gonna be a bitch. Just general small improvements that should make Legacy more fun and finalised. Because if I do it, it's not going to get done. If I don't do it, Legacy will probably never finish. Death Star 2, I need to expand the map. Tatooine, I need to finish some assets and then I can start working on that map. Kashyyyk, I have another few assets to import, and then I don't know how I'm going to expand that map. Desolation Station needs texturing still. Yavin 4, I need to finish the models and texture the Great Temple, and then that's done. What else is there? Endor, that's Fab's map, but there is some things I'm texturing from the Battlefront 3 assets I guess he can use if he asks for them. Great fun. I'm adding Galactic Civil War in. I'm currently reworking the Galactic Civil War sides, getting rid of the bubble shield because it's too glitchy, updating the auto turrets, the mines and det packs. I'm also updating the weapons used by what class. Currently stuck on the Commander class for the Rebels and the Dark Trooper because I kind of don't want them to have the chain gun. But they might have to have the chain gun. Yes, Lord Fab? No. Don't leave me, Fab. I need the assets. I need the source. I need my yearly source dump. No. That's fine. I'm sure I'll be able to catch you some point within the next 2 years. I might finally be able to fix.
Oh, Fab.
What?
Again. And we never saw Fab again.
I wouldn't be surprised if we never see Fab again. I'm surprised to see him on, to be honest, but I'm actually happy he came on the stream. He usually doesn't grace us with his presence. I keep asking Sif Kenny to harass him on League of Legends, but Sif doesn't have the balls to do it.
Why not join him on League of Legends?
I'm not fucking installing that cancer. I'd rather have my testicles hooked up to a car battery before I fucking play a Riot Games game.
I mean, shit, that's one way to get a charge.
But yeah, this stream has been discussing Git in September 2020. We had the current community manager come on the YouTube chat. We had Ryan and me, who were both test bunnies. I'm also a former community staff member. We have Clone Commander Omar here, who was a former community staff member, as well as the original forum host for Frontwire. We have a few other people, such as Lord Fab, who graced for chat. We have Razor here, who is a YouTuber.
Hi, I'm small.
And we have River, who's a modder.
Hello.
Yeah, this has been fun. Git's dead. Do you think there's a future for Git?
In the bargain bin, maybe.
Yeah, but the bargain bin implies that it cost money in the first place. You can't even play the game. The game doesn't work anymore at all. Assets will come.
Well, maybe.
Oh,
maybe
now I'm
it
wrecked.
gets delisted from Steam.
I'm erect now. The assets will.
It doesn't work.
The assets come. I can update the mod properly, as opposed to shitting out buggy updates everyone then whinges about when they don't work, and I have to explain to them I can't actually do shit.
And do set it right.
I mean, to be fair, the multiplayer update was incredibly rushed because I, to be honest, didn't care. I don't know how I can make that more clear, as I'm very uncaring right now towards it. I mean, Death Star 2 mostly worked, and that was all that was important. People just wanted to play that.
You know, when they first first came out and said, yeah, we're gonna continue the game, but not with Star Wars license. You know, I was expecting, okay, they're gonna do similar maps to Free Radicals Battle.
Oh no. They were, when Git was cease and desisted, very early on remodeling the Coruscant map. Terribly. Not very accurately. Considering that, you know, Legacy already existed at this point. They were remodeling the Coruscant map from the collision meshes, because we didn't have the raw assets at the time. Supposedly that was going to be reused. Well, reused somewhat. Whatever geometry they had done was going to be repurposed, which inevitably it wasn't, because it's front wire. Broken promises. Bad game. I'm just gonna end the stream by simply saying the obvious. It's locked onto another window. Don't want that. Yeah. It's shit. Very. It's got no future. It's dead. It was dead on release. It's dead now. The entire team's bailed. The blame lies at the top with the CEO and the management, or sorry, lack of management. Yeah. Hopefully my my attempt at a Git won't suck.
Well, you don't want Tony Romanelli making a postmortem.
Well, I'm not going to sit back and let, you know, fucking go do other careers. I'm focusing on, well, obviously Legacy is obviously something that I'm putting interest in, but I will be focusing on my indie game, and it will work. Hopefully.
Can be very story driven.
No, story will come out after the multiplayer. Story.
Something I was kind of thinking, not saying for your game, but for like the future game for sci-fi, why not have it where it's the start of like humans going into the universe?
That was the plan.
Ooh. That sounds cool.
The plan was it would have been quite a while into humans colonizing, but it was very much focusing on obviously the a retaliation to the colonizing. Humans colonizing was obviously would have been the center point of what began the war that the game centered on, and the human colonization is also the sort of what sets the galactic standard in technology. So for balancing reasons, obviously. A lot of locations will be like human bases, military installations, that sort of thing. Because we're humans, so obviously we're going to be all militarized.
Any idea of what type of game you're gonna make it?
Yeah, it's going to be Battlefront 3, but better. Ah, Doonjo joined Legacy. Yeah, Fab didn't say when, but he never says when. He usually just sends them to me either while I'm at work or in the middle of the night. Oh shit! Yeah, I forgot to ask him for ModDB access. Fuck. Fab, if you haven't left yet, please could you change the permissions on ModDB so I can actually post shit? I don't think he's here. I think he's gone at this point. But yeah, I'm gonna end the stream now because obviously we've sort of run out of Git topic discussions now. So.
Omar, look at the Instagram post comments I posted.
Yes.
I
What?
commented.
What?
Tony posted it about his new song.
Oh, he's god awful songs.
Called Drop That Dick. Or Ride That Dick.
Ah, so fucking cringy. Who wants to listen to some?
Drop Git, now you're dropping your dick. What's the next thing to mismanage?
It's fucking stupid. The man is an idiot.
I mean, what is his financial situation? Like, compared to Luke, I'm trying to decide who's the biggest fuck up. Is it Luke Landwalker or is it Tony Romanelli? If Luke took his life into his own hands and didn't just expect things to like happen for him.
Well, Tony has a job. Tony has, you know, at least some form of career. It's just Tony's a bit of a retard and likes to try and do everything. Luke obviously had very set goals. Obviously, when Luke couldn't curb his ambition and, you know, went all in and failed. And every time he'd failed, it was obviously not his fault. It was the fault of everyone else.
Yeah.
Obviously, his biggest fuck up being the fact that he didn't actually put the effort in building an actual portfolio. He just like threw together 2 little levels, quick video, some footage of stuff that he didn't even make, and then it's Raven Software is gay. Raven Software's fault that he got kicked out. He hates Raven Software now. It's a gay company. It's shit. Because that's literally what happened. Like for fucking 3 weeks or something, he was like really hyping up. I was like, I really want to work for Raven Software. They do some really awesome work. Can't wait to work on Call of Duty. Raven Software declined his application. They don't even decline his application. Just one member of it says, oh wow, this guy looks like a complete twat. And he's like, oh no, fuck Raven Software. Terrible company. Horrible. Oh, no, it would happen all the time. It's like, I don't hold a grudge against anyone. But if you're a company that one person says no, oh, well, I hate you. Nah. Tony is more successful than Luke from what a perspective. From the perspective of game design, no, Luke's more fucking successful than Tony, because, you know, Luke actually, you know, did look into level design very briefly. Obviously he doesn't actually look into it all the way. He just basically looked at methods of creating assets, and that's about it. That's as far as he got. He didn't actually look into actual designing levels. Like, I want to see Luke actually design a level from scratch.
Didn't he design a like shitty Arabic city or whatever?
That was just an environment. It was just like a quick little square, essentially. I want to make him like actual level design, actual, you know, gameplay level. I suppose he tried it with the Battlefront 4 remakes, but he's still based off the fucking shitty MS Paint drawings that Free Radical had. And then a load of ripped fucking DICE assets. I want to see him make an actual serious map. And we're going to conclude on that. I still haven't ended the stream, so I should do that. Good night, people watching the stream.